Well, I know that in the effort to want to always change, you know, Anthony and I weren't as interested in playing funk music at that time. I mean, we had certain things, you know, what funk songs there was, like, you know, Can't Stop, like, that was something that came from me. So I wouldn't say that I was, like, against funk, but I didn't want to do any blues-based music on By the Way. That was my thing. Now blues is very important to me, you know. And By the Way, I just didn't want it to be blues-based. So if Flea came in with something that was blues-based funky, I wasn't going to be into it at that time. That was just where I was at. I couldn't help it, you know. I couldn't help it. I just wasn't into it. I wanted, if I was going to, I didn't mind if something was funky, but I wanted it to be, to still have that European sense of melody. And so, you know, obviously, like, that was just where I was at the time. And I guess Flea did get frustrated a few times because he'd bring something in and I wouldn't get excited about it because it didn't fit into how I was thinking of the record. On this record, I'm really into blues. I'm really into funk. You know, I'm loving the early Funkadelic records, especially, which are really blues-based. And so this opened that up for me to be more open to that side of what Flea was doing, you know, and for me to bring in stuff like that myself, you know. Like I said, my taste just changes. I can't help it, you know. It's like, it's not like I decide to like one kind of music and not to like another kind, but that's how I am. I get very opinionated about things, like in the same way that I was saying about how I didn't like flashy guitar players then, but I do now. At that time, I didn't want to listen to any music that had blues feelings in it, and now, like, that, there's nothing that makes me feel better. I love, like, Muddy Waters and Lightning Hopkins and you know, Howlin' Wolf, and, like, nothing makes me feel better than to listen to that kind of music, you know. For me, like, that and classical music right now are just, like, the end of all music for me, you know. You know, at the same time, like, Flea was also into that European sense of melody on By the Way. Like, there's a lot of songs, like, it's not like Flea just writes funk and I just write melody or something. That's a false public perception, you know. Universally speaking, Flea wrote that song, you know. It's like a lot of the songs on By the Way that you think of as being like John type songs, they're not written by me, you know. It's like, and like I said, something like Can't Stop that you might like associate more with Flea, it's me, you know. So these perceptions of the public, they're just people's perceptions. They have nothing to do with the real story, you know. Flea was really into music like the Smiths and Susie and the Banshees when we were making By the Way. It's not like that was just me, you know. There was some stuff that I just thought was out of character, you know, for the rest of what we do. But at the time, I didn't think that I was limiting him. Maybe I just, you know, I was just being honest about how I felt, you know. On this, we're always honest with each other, but luckily on this album, like, our two separate conceptions of how the record should be matched up and were one thing, you know. Same thing as Blood Sugar Time, you know, or where we both wanted the same thing, and that's how it ended up being with this album. And By the Way, maybe to some degree we both wanted different things, you know. On this album, we both just happened to want the same things. It's not like we decided to. We both happened to really think highly of the same kind of shit, you know, like you know, Wu-Tang Clan was my favorite music while we were making this record, and Flea loves Wu-Tang Clan, so, you know, we both, you know, or he'd be listening to Ice Cube and I'd be listening to Eminem or something, but they're similar enough to where we're both going into the studio with basically the same kind of frame of mind, you know, and you know, and obviously that Jimi Hendrix thing is something Flea really has in his soul, so when I come to rehearsal and I just start soloing on the wah-wah pedal and doing feedback for a half hour, he's right in there with me, you know, and we're just having fun, you know.
So you can assure that Red Hot Chili Peppers are still a honest band?
So honest band? Yeah, we're a very honest band. We're very sincere and we really care about what we do, and you know, being able to make music together means everything to us, and we feel so blessed to be able to do it, you know, with each other. For me, like, there's no more important musical relationship of anybody in my life than to what I have with Flea, you know, and I'm so glad that what we have right now is like is something to where we're both really, you know, caring for each other, and we're both really looking out for each other, and we're both really standing by each other, because there's you know, there's nothing I could imagine being better than what I have with him and what I have with Anthony and what I have with Chad. It's something that when I think about the forces that brought us together, it's still hard for me to even understand how that could happen, that fate could bring us together, because it feels so perfect, you know.